All right. Hello, everybody. We're just letting everyone in here, um, giving people another second, and then we'll get started. Thanks for joining us. All right. Hey, everybody. We're going to get started here. Might have a few people join. So thanks for joining us today for our webinar, Unlocking the Power of a Ski Area Mobile App. My name is Josh Smith. I'm sales director here on the ski team with accesso. And we appreciate you joining. We'll share a little bit more about ourselves and accesso, although I think most of you guys are familiar with us. But we are here today because we believe that a ski area app can be incredibly beneficial to operators and guests. But we also know that implementing them can be a little scary. It can be a little daunting due to time, resources, cost, things like that. So we just want to show you how they can be beneficial. Want to share some examples and maybe some data from other resorts and hopefully lower that intimidation factor by presenting different options and ways that you may be able to implement an app. And I want to say this right now, like as we go through, if you're feeling that intimidation or thinking, wow, this sounds complicated or expensive, I want you to know, that the features in this app can actually be part of a standalone piece. You can implement just pieces of this. You don't even have to get the app. So we're just going to throw that out there right now. We like the idea of a full app and with different features, but you can definitely do bite size here. So something to keep in mind. And before we get started, just some logistics. You can have your video on, off, whatever, it's up to you. Mics are disabled and the chat feature is off. But we do have a Q&A chat feature there. So you can enter questions throughout the presentation. Feel free to put them in there, and then we'll at the end try to have some time to get to any of those. If we don't, we will make sure that we follow up with you individually. So feel free to ask questions, throw them in there. And we're also going to try to do an interactive poll or two throughout. So to get to that, it might just pop up. You might have to click into the chat feature to see it. Some organizations, some setups don't allow it. So hopefully most of you can participate. And with that, if you haven't already, let's see. I'm going to try to open up that poll and just get a quick idea of where everyone's from. You should get a pop-up, or like I said, if not, you might have to click into the chat button there. Just curious where you guys are all coming from, what resort. Awesome. All right. I think we have two people from Crystal. Okay, we've got everywhere from US, Canada, all the way from Vermont. All right, cool. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. I know you guys are busy and you're starting to think about winter. I'm here in Breckenridge, Colorado, and leaves are changing, and snow has fallen once so far. So I know it's a busy time of the season, beginning of the season. So we'll keep this brief because, like I said, I think a lot of you are familiar with accesso, but my name is Josh Smith. I'm a little newer here at accesso. Worked in ski school management at Breckenridge for the last 7 years. Spent a little time in the ticket window and product sales as well. And before that, I started as a ski instructor, and I did some seasons in Tahoe, Japan, and Australia. I've also got Kevin here today, our Director of Solutions Architecture. Kevin, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, great to see everybody and see so many familiar, friendly names in the chat. So super great to see you all. And if I haven't met you before, wonderful to meet you. I've been with accesso for the last 5 years and really been able to focus quite a bit on guest experience, both through apps and other peripherals and ways that we interact and bring your brand and your brand voice to your guests everywhere. As well as pretty focused on the ski industry and ski vertical as well. And so, really excited to get to chat with you a little bit about both of those things today.
Cool. Thanks, Kevin. Um, so yeah, a lot of you guys are current clients. Some maybe have worked with us in the past. But accesso, we work with over 150 ski areas that trust us with their software needs, and that's more than any other company in the space. And yeah, we have a big team. We're spread out across the world, and I think that's one of our advantages, just having a lot of resources. And we do have a specific team dedicated to ski. Um, and many of us come from an operations background, whether it's operations management, frontline employee. I'm still going to be a part-time ski instructor because I can't get away from it. So it keeps us, we have that experience of being on the ground and being part of the operation, and um, keeps us connected to that guest experience. So yeah, and we're excited. We've put a lot of effort and continue to put a lot of effort and resources into our ski products. Um, Things like Serious Wear and Paradox, Freedom, our food and beverage and retail, and our Ski Now app. So we're excited to share some of that with you. And accesso also, we also try to make sure that we have an open mindset and work well with others, right? And everyone says that, but things like APIs or working with partners like Access and Ski Data and One Risk and Intopia, things like that. So that's a little bit about us. Before we jump into the nitty gritty here, I want to do one more poll, and then that will be it. I'll stop bothering you with polls after this, but kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on an app and implementing an app, and maybe why you haven't, or if you have. See what you guys are thinking. So that should have popped up. And that's multiple choice there. You can pick more than one. Seeing some of the results come in. Time, cost, just haven't looked yet. And there's someone that does have an app and maybe interested in seeing what else is out there or what's possible. Cool. All right. So it looks like uh, cost, time, yeah, a little bit of everything there, but definitely cost. And like I said, our goal today is to lower that intimidation factor and offer you different options and show you what's out there and what's available, and to remember that it can be implemented bite size, and we can go as small or as big as you want. So cool. Thanks for participating in that. And then I wanted to, before we jump in, and I keep saying that, but I wanna share a little story. I like stories, and we all like hearing about other resorts that are having trouble and figuring stuff out, right? So a little story about the guest experience at a mountain we worked with that implemented our app. And right, as operators, that sweet spot is always if we can find something that's good for the guest, good for our employees, and good for the bottom line, right? That's the trifecta. I know it's not always possible, but that's what we're looking for. And so one of our clients came to us and gave us this feedback and some stories about how people getting hurt on their mountain, as it happens, and or getting lost and going into the app and trying to figure out where they were on a map, and so they could call patrol and click that button in the app and call patrol and explain where we are. Now we know how that goes, right? If you've talked to patrol or try to call in someone that's injured, yeah, we're on the left side of this trail halfway down, and sometimes that can be a little tricky, right? And so guests were getting a little frustrated. Patrol wasn't maybe figuring out where they were. Patrol's getting frustrated because they're taking maybe more than one lap to try to find this person. And right, that's using resources, that's putting patrol maybe at risk. And so we thought, well, this is something we can kind of adapt and tweak. And so it was a matter of making that location a little more accurate and just adding this screen here where we've got the longitude and latitude with some more decibel places. Probably more than maybe we need, but you could locate them right to that pocket the phone's in. Um, and so that was a way where just being able to adapt within the app and change some things affected that guest experience. In a time when they're probably struggling and kind of things are not going so well already, um, can kind of make that a little bit smoother. And then for patrollers, right, they're a little bit less frustration of figuring out where people are and not putting themselves at risk trying to look around and spend more time looking for someone. So yeah, kind of impacts a few different parts of the operation. And as we go throughout these slides today, I want you guys to just remember, the goal here is to empower guests to impact their own experience, right? By putting this in their hands and these features and these tools, they can control and adapt their experience. And then it also increases the fun and the social aspect of skiing. Um, like I said, put those tools at their fingertips or their glove tips and personalize, right? We're going to talk about that too. How can we personalize their experience using this app by giving them the right messages at the right times?
We
And
see
I'll
ourselves as big problem solvers, and we really like to not build things that we think are just flashy or just exciting or just, might be, curious or interesting to your guests, but we like to really kind of take a methodical approach of, well, what are the problems that your guests have? What are the problems that your staff have? And even from this example of being able to help, the guests in a time of need, we've taken that solution and used it with our friend finding, and group locationing into the same idea that, if I'm not lost, but I want to know where my group is, I need to know accurately where they are and with frequent, regular updates for that to be helpful and solve that problem of reconnecting with my crew.
cool. Thanks, Kevin. And Kevin will um, make sure I say that we are not a safety app. This was a sort of a cool feature that we were able to kind of tweak and help this specific resort, but obviously not a replacement for the stuff that you have in place already. Um, and just like to share this slide here because it's how we kind of think of the guest experience. And resorts are pretty good already at doing the before and after, the things like promotions and marketing and um, getting people to come back to abandoned carts. Before the trip, resorts are predicting volume and planning sales and all that. The piece that we want to try to fill in and help a little bit here is, and I think is what an app is good at. Is that during their experience when they're at the resort, in resort, and how do we communicate with them? How do we provide them tools and things like that? How do we make that experience a little bit better? And we can collect some data and we can use that data to talk to them in a way that is meaningful for them. And hopefully the goal is that they are more loyal. They come back and they tell their friends and their family that they had a great experience and they come back to your resort. So I'm going to turn over to Kevin.
Right, we figured we'd try to start where everybody's the most curious. And I'd say that this is where we get the most questions and curiosity from. And, the questions are both on the, hey, I want to be able to sell more. I want to be able to get people into my mobile food and beverage. I want to be able to sell tickets and sell passes. But also, I want to be able to use them. I want to, I guess, be able to redeem them and keep them on their phone and get add-ons and benefits because of what they purchase. And as a marketer, I want to be able to communicate with guests, understanding where they are and what they're doing. And so we have a really complete platform first approach to tickets, passes, and entitlements. And it's both integrated and connected to all things accesso already, but also very open. We've learned over the years that while we provide a lot of comprehensive stuff in ski, it's foolish for us to think that you're going to buy absolutely every system from us. And so for us to make you successful and to make the guest journey clean and crisp, we know that we're going to need to work and play nice with your other providers, your Intopias, your hotel room entitlements, your mobile food and beverage through Toast or anything else that's not in our purview. And so we've taken an approach in our apps to first and foremost work well, of course, with all of our systems. And so if you're a serious wear customer today or a Paradox customer today or a Passport customer today, your entitlements are already pre-integrated to be captured and work in app. They add really cool over-the-top benefits like add-on call to actions that you can incentivize your guests based on their purchase to do more, home screen and profile screen customization based on the purchases and tickets that a guest has, but even deeper data insights for your team to see, where the app users are, what types of purchases they've made, and then conversate and send them information based on the things that they have or the things that they're doing. Which is really the powerhouse of kind of how what we refer to as our experience marketing or our conversational marketing engine. And all of that is driven by the notion of understanding who your guest is and what they've got. And so whether they're purchasing passes, purchasing food and beverage, making a table reservation in any of our systems or any of your systems, or getting that information back into the app so they can work with their purchase, redeem their purchase, show barcodes or QR codes from things that they've got. We've got a really great pre-built solution to make all of that really come together with the app as the playground that it all coexists in. All right, we have a really great integration with Mappy, which is a geospatial mapping application. My guess is that everybody in the audience already has some geospatial data. And that could be from your grooming teams with the snow cats measuring snow depth. It could be from your snow guns and understanding of, where you're making snow and in what quantities, your weather stations, your guest information. And by using the power of a geospatial data and specifically a digital twin representation, which you can see the mountain in the background is that digital twin representation, we can really collect and gather a lot of those geospatial insights and layer them together. Now, we know that we have to make something that sings for your guests so that the guest wants to use it, as well as provides that great data and analytics to you. And so the compelling reason that we give to guests is that you can automatically track your skiing. You don't have to push start. It actually happens automatically when you show up and you're near the base area of the lifts. If they have the app installed, this will happen and will work. We collect their ski stats throughout the day and give them that kind of overview of, hey, where have you been today? What was your top speed today? How many vertical feet have you conquered? And then, of course, that collects all season long as well. What's really cool is we support both ski and snowboarding and winter sports during the winter, but then hiking and mountain biking and summer sports during the summer, and you actually get the same great stats and feedback through all seasons of using your app. In addition, we also have group friend finding. And so you can create as many groups of people that you often ski together with. And what's cool is you don't need to be physically skiing with your group to see where they're at on the mountains. I do this all the time with my grandma and relatives where, they just want to be curious to where I'm at and where I'm going and, what part of the mountain I'm on. And, instead of me, giving them, a social media link or a replay, I just add them to my group and say, hey, come and watch. You can see where I'm at and what I'm doing today, even though that you're not here yourself. And so that's the compelling reason that we, can help you get app adoption and convince guests that using a native app is great. It's one of the great reasons to have a native app that we can use the sensor data inside of the apps and the geofence breaching and the GPS and everything else to power these great insights and this great technology. But then you turn around and with your digital twin representation of the mountain and plugging in the existing geospatial data that you might have layered on top, you're going to find some really, really great insights and data, findings by comparing and contrasting these different data sets that my guess is that many people and many resorts are just not capable of doing today. And so really great guest use case in the front end, and of course the data analytics and actionable insights that you as an operator get to garner as well. All right, we do an awful lot of different types of mapping. The 3D GIS you can actually see in the video on the left. That's frisbee golf over the summer. And so it's one of the summer use cases that we support in the 3D, 2D maps, in addition to hiking and biking. We also have what we refer to as our village guide maps. Those are really used great for base areas and lodges, getting from parking areas to the resort and understanding the shortest, quickest way to a restroom or to the rental shop or to any food and beverage location. Our mapping actually is available both in app and on the web. And so if you are not considering an app but would like to replace paper maps or like to help guests figure out how to get to different areas on your base and you're hearing that it's confusing or cumbersome, we can help you get started with maps even without using the app. And that works both for the 3D maps as well as the 2D guide maps as well. We really layer this in with a lot of platform information, and so our events are on the maps. Different points of interest have really rich detail, including videos and links and categories, and ways to see, hey, where's the gluten-free option versus the dairy-free option versus the inexpensive bar. All of that can be set up in your content system or set up in ours, and be fed into these different applications. And then we also even tie it into your activity status. So things like, is the lift open? Is this run groomed? That also is shown on the maps, and something that for a visual learner guest that wants to, click and drag and figure out all the best places they could be going or could be experiencing, we tie all that together from the system that you're updating and you're interacting with for that current activity detail. All right, and we do have a cool special announcement. This is our newest offer, but we've been able to really hear the market, and I think the feedback that we got prior to having this offer was that our apps are really, really great, but they're an awful lot, and they do a lot of features that some resorts just getting started may not need to take advantage of all of. And that just seems prohibitive or like a premium offer that not everybody is ready to digest. And so we had our teams work and build a simplified version of the app that's both cheaper but still very, very feature rich. I got all the same weather, lift activities, webcam, ski patrol, interactive mapping, ability to purchase tickets, really everything that you would need to do in a ski app, but really prioritizing, guests with gloves on, making quick choices, coming together to find the things they need. And this new app is, about half the price or less of what we've been charging for our full-fledged app, and something that we can get live in 1 month. And so a really quick turnaround for us to be able to turn this on and get this available to you and your guests. Really got the vast majority of the features that we think that you would need, but put into a package that's made to be simple, made to be used by guests quickly, and allow them to find the things that they're looking for and that you host from your resort in a very simple, straightforward way to make sure that their focus is on the hill and on skiing and not on figuring out your technical landscape. All right, and the way that we get this done is really with a platform data first approach. And we really make the point that we actually kind of learned over the years that some of our clients already have systems they're working with that they really like. We've got some clients with LumiPlan that really like their digital physical signage and how LumiPlan interacts and captures some of their activity status. Some clients have their own webcam services that are hooked up to their webcams and taking thumbnail pictures, and they've got that well figured out. And some clients just don't. They're editing their website manually to update lift status, and then the blog section of the website is essentially the events. And so what we found is that we want to work with everybody, and we want to make it easy to use parts of our system or all of it, and that's kind of being up to you. And so we can both integrate to any of your existing systems, whether it be points of interest, event feeds, webcams, weather stations, lifts and trail status updates, you name it. We're happy to integrate, take that data in and feed it through our platform to our applications, both in-app, on the web, digital signage, really anywhere that you need it. But if you don't already have the system to do that, we've also set up really nice applications and GUIs for you to do just that. We have both the admin sign of house for those people that are doing the seasonal changeover, all the how your facilities change from winter to summer and getting ready for summer offerings, or how the trails change for bike park and all of that. Or more day of operators where somebody, with a tablet with gloves on needs to quickly be putting in what trails have been groomed, and what's currently going on with the facility. And so whether you've got a system that you're happy with and you just want us to plug in and make it so that you're not doing things twice, we can do that. If you don't love your system and you'd like to use our tools to input it, we also allow all of the data from our system to be consumed by you. And so you can take that out and plug it into your website, use our drop-in components, plug it into your physical signage, really anywhere that you need to consume those data points, we can provide them to you as well. And you actually get a little sneak peek in the bottom right. We had just released a new ski widget, which can live on your home screen, lock screen, or really anywhere on your iPhone or Android devices, that kind of gives guests that even more longevity view of what's going on at your resort, even if they're not opening the app and visiting you in the near future. All right, here's a little bit sample of that tablet-based system that our operators use. Right now, we're seeing over actually from Dodge Ridge, their lifts, trails, and activities, and a big need that we heard from Dodge Ridge was that things change fast. lightning storms come, or they need to put lifts on hold or on wait. And that the normal operations might go for weeks in a row, that things are normal and they want their lifts to simply open at the time of opening and close at the time of closing. But when something happens, the team's busy, they're shorthanded, they need to be able to quickly update all of their systems. And so, just like you can see in the video here, they're able to quickly come in and drop down and set the lifts to lightning closure, which is going to feed for them to their digital signage, which we provide. Their multiple applications that they have, both the Dodge Ridge app and the Cali Pass app, as well as their website, where they consume this data out of our platform and make sure that it's updated and concurrent there. And so a system that runs automatically all the time for them, keeping things going, can quickly be interacted with and change and update all the different places that data is being consumed. This is just lifts, trails, and activities, but we have a very similar mindset when it comes to weather, snow, and webcams as well. All right, and we would be amiss if we didn't mention mobile F&B. This is our mobile F&B, but we do not need you to use it. We are more than happy for you to use Toast or any of the other existing mobile F&B products that you might have. We can make your mobile F&B product work really well in app, both by surfacing different really contextual links throughout the experience, dropping users not onto that browse page where they can see all of the locations, but onto a particular menu, particular category in a menu, or even into a particular menu with a pickup location predetermined based on the user. And so there's a lot of things that we can do to make the way that you order food really clean and crisp. One of the big use cases that we see growing in the ski market is ordering ahead before you get going and having your food prepped and ready at lunch, which, especially as busy as cafeterias are and as busy as the food and beverage dining halls are, we're finding that guests really like the idea of having that pre-configured and booked. And if you're there with your family and you really cherish sitting down and spending 30 minutes having a table, knowing your food's going to be hot and ready, we can help all of that be preset and booked, through our accesso mobile food and beverage offers. And then what you're seeing right here is all mobile ordering. But if you're curious about more full-fledged food and beverage, we do have a full, POS system, back of house, retail management, you name it. And so let us know if you're curious about F&B, even if it's outside of the mobile apps and guest experience too. All right. And one of the big principles that I'm pushing my team for and that I think is really, really important is that we want to reach every guest. And we know that every guest may or may not be using your native apps. In fact, it'd be foolish for us to suggest that you're going to get 100% of your guests to download and use the native app. In a really good use case, honestly, we see about 50%, and that's really good. That'd be our goal of how many total guests get into a native application. And so to supplement that, we at accesso have been working really hard to deliver the guest experience to those other guests too. And so we got two great examples of that on the screen. I'll start with the phone, which is showing our partner Satisfy Labs and their Mountain AI chat. This can be used in your native applications, both that lighter weight product that we showed, as well as our full-fledged Mountain Guide Ski Now application. They work really great in app, able to keep track of who you are as a user. But what's really, really cool is they work just as great outside of app. And so hosted on your website as a chat bot, helping guests find detail and information that they need, as a QR code that guests can scan at the lift base if they're confused and need help getting around. This chat is plugged into our platform. And so things like the current status, the current prices, what's going on at the mountain, where you are, and how to get around is all fed by that same great data that we're integrating our platform to, or you're integrating or working with our platform to input yourself, but made available with an AI chatbot to help your guests get to what they need. We really do believe that this is going to be the future, that we see a lot of e-commerce and interactions with online, that less and less will you be going through a checkout page and more you'll be interacting like you would with a human, but online and in a digital format. And so really excited about this partnership and finding deeper, more integrated ways to streamline this and ultimately give your guests that really clean, crisp, easy experience. So fundamentally, they can get back to skiing. And then the other example that we have in the background that I'm really passionate about is our growing array of options for digital signage. We only have the one picture. We actually have several different flavors now of ways that we can represent digital signage for ski activity like lifts, trails, and activities, ride wait times, upcoming show times, availability at the tubing hill, food and beverage menus for cafeterias, or even food and beverage queues when you place an order to see how many orders away you might be. And so, with the principle of we know that we won't get absolutely everybody in a native app, with accesso, you're going to get the tools and capabilities to truly push toward interacting with 100% of your audience. We do have quite a bit of a track record here. Our messaging engine was really the original business that we had, in guest apps, and we've been able to grow it into all of the different features and functionalities and things that we have here. But with that track record and a very mature rules-based engine of experience marketing, we were able to support, 80 ski areas right now, powered by Accesso apps. We've delivered a billion messages. We've seen north of 4 million conversions from in-app marketing, and with millions of active users worldwide. With our experience marketing last season, we saw a 17% uptick in in-app conversions. And so based on the baseline of, not poaching those guests that are going to automatically be buying, and we already knew that they were going to convert, we're able to use our ROI analytics and show that no, we were able to nudge another 17% of purchases just based on having that great guest information, being able to talk to guests about what they care about, and giving them that detail that's impactful and time pertinent. And without getting into the nitty-gritty detail of how the rules engine works and really what it all means, I really like how this image kind of just sums up the idea. One thing that we can do at our platform, we call them geofence breach automations. And so you can imagine a virtual circle drawn around this mid-mountain ski lodge, that when each of these guests comes within that circle, we're triggering our system to say, hey, it's time to do something. But that's something, we like the idea that it's never the same for every single one of your guests. And so using their purchase information, like their ticketing or food and beverage or anything that we might have a ticket or entitlement from, their current location, meaning where they were before they came to here, things that they've told us in their guest preferences, or things that we've connected to your CRM or your notion of the guest, we're truly able to deliver a unique experience, a unique message, a unique opportunity, or maybe just something funny and personal, that is, we think, is the right message for that guest at the time. And so you can imagine that, some people needing to book a table reservation because we know they're with the family, they're getting detail and help to get that done. Somebody who we know is just really passionate about skiing and probably only going to stop for a quick second, we're just helping them pick the least busy ski lift to take next. And so all of that, kind of gets fed into our rules engine experience marketing platform. And we like to say that it delivers out conversational marketing.
Cool. Thank you, Kevin. Um, Wanted to go into a little Q&A before we end. We've got another slide or two, but figured let's stop here and answer some questions. So looks like one came through, and from Barb, I believe. For the control room, lifts or runs open or close, is there a log of when or what days lifts run were open and who opened them in the admin section? So kind of a history and a log. Is that something, Kevin, that we have or could do?
Yeah, it's something that we can always help if you have an issue or you need to check the audit train. It's not a report that you could self-service today, but we have gotten this question before and been able to provide it from our teams out, when there's a problem or when there's an issue. It is a role-based access control with everything in our control room. And so you can have some staff that are only there to be updating, point of interest content, some staff that are your marketing team and they're, allowed to reach guests, with push notifications, and some staff that are your operations team that you're allowing to interact with lifts, runs, activities, and their statuses, as well as their wait times and everything else that goes with it. And so, yes, we've got that detail. It doesn't show up in control room. It would be something that we would need to give you when it was needed. But we have gotten that request before, and so certainly can help.
Cool. Cool. And were there any other questions out there? If you did, you can put them in that Q&A feature there. Just type them in. Um, and yeah, we'll try to answer them. And if there's any that we haven't got haven't come through, like I said, we'll make sure to follow up individually. I think one of the things we hear a lot. One of the first questions, obviously, is implementation, and we talked to that a little bit of what does it take to implement something like this, and hopefully we've made it clear that it's kind of up to you of how much you want to, if you want to go big or you want to start small and kind of go from there. And so, like Kevin had said earlier, I think the average is somewhere between 1 and 3 months. We can go on the short end for some simpler stuff, 1 month, and for if you're doing all of these features and some customization, it's going to be more like 3 months. But it varies widely, and we're willing to work with resorts on that. Let's see. We did have another question. Is the app currently used by any Paradox customers?
We've got two of them that we're working with right now, but no, there's none that are live available for you to download on the market. But should be soon.
We do have some like with Serious Paradox. Serious Passport combo clients. Is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, the vast majority of them. Yep.
Yep. Cool. Got another minute or two here for Q&A. So yeah, keep throwing them in the chat. Another one that comes up a lot is just people are curious, hey, what do the guests love? What are the features that the guests love, and what are the ones that the operators love? And so I think what we've seen is that guests love some of that simpler stuff, the trail status, grooming status, weather, snowfall, webcams, those kind of things. But they also, as you can imagine, really enjoy those 3D mapping and maps and some of the ski stats and gamification. Obviously, keeping track of where people are on the mountain, friends and family, and your kids, is a pretty cool feature that we hear that guests really enjoy. And then on the operator side, it sounds like, what we've heard is just the ability to manage, some of this data in one place, especially if they're using that control room feature, being able to quickly update statuses from an iPad. Maybe they're standing in the base area, and that can be done all from one place. That's something we've heard good feedback on. Any other ones? Okay, looks like Phil's answering some questions too in there in the chat. I would say the last one that we hear, what's the lift like on this? What's the how much effort and time is this going to take? And again, like we just want to remind you, it's kind of your choice of how much you want to dedicate to this and how much you want to be invested. But you don't need, it's not like you need a full-time person to be running this app and keeping it up to date. For implementation, like we work with you quite a bit, and obviously we need things like images and verbiage and what you want the theme and what you want your goals to be. But our team will build it and set it up. And so it's not something that's an incredibly big lift. So wanted to make sure we throw that out there as well. Cool. We will move on. I've got one more story. I told you I like stories. And before we wrap up here. And so this kind of is an example of, again, that guest experience. And it's not just guest experience. We need to make sure that there's some ROI too, right? And so that's important. And we saw that at Steamboat. This was a while back, and we did a larger, implementation with them. So this is more on that custom all-in end of it, but really cool what we saw here. And basically what was going on was, as we know, like at a ski area, things are sometimes spread out. And right, we see our guests often go from the parking lot through rentals, they go bathroom break with the kids, and then they get all the way to the chairlift, or they get all the way to the coaster, some summer activity. And then there's an issue, right? Oh, we got the wrong ticket, or oh, my little, 5-year-old decided he does want to ride or he does want to ski today, and I don't have a ticket for him. And so that sometimes means, okay, we got to go all the way back down to the ticket window. And Steamboat was seeing this happen at their coaster, and they were kind of wondering what was the issue. Was there something in particular? And they figured, okay, it's probably, maybe the kids aren't the right height requirement, or the waiver wasn't signed. Things like that. The line's too long. We don't have time. Mom and dad want to get going. And so we did a little study and we kind of figured out, we looked into this and we actually had some people there and kind of watching and seeing what was going on. And really it came down to that scenario of they got to the front of the line and they didn't have the right ticket, or they had bought tickets online, but they didn't stop at the ticket window to convert them, which, is a bummer. And it was things like that, or they didn't have their waiver filled out. They got the tickets right, but they didn't have the waiver filled out. And then we know what happens is that attendant there goes, sorry, dude, you got to go all the way back down there. And no dad with 3 little kids that are excited to ride the coaster wants to hear that, right? And that's the point when the NPS score, that guest goes from a net promoter to a net detractor. And that's what we want to avoid, right? And it's just that little moment of having to walk all the way back down. And, maybe dad saying to the employee, why can't you help me here? Can you just let us on? And, worst case scenario, now that employee is getting blown up by a guest. So that's kind of what was going on. And so having the app, we talked to them and said, this is something we can kind of fix. We can make it easy, right? And we need to make it really easy and quick to be able to purchase and sign a waiver, purchase tickets and sign a waiver for that coaster right then and there. So instead of them getting sent back down, the attendant could just say to dad, hey, why don't you guys step aside? Here's a QR code, scan this. It'll lead you to the, buy a ticket on the app. You can do the waiver and then we'll let you on. And being able to change that scenario was huge for Steamboat. And obviously they saw increased sales, coaster sales. They reduced the amount of missed opportunities they had where people said, you know what, I'm walking back and I'm walking to the parking lot. I'm not walking to the ticket window. So that was a really cool thing that we saw, and Steamboat was happy with what we were able to do. And yeah, just again an example of what you might learn and what you might be able to sort of solve for, even if you're not aware that it's a problem yet. And so, again, we want to make sure we say, don't be intimidated, and see what you can do and see, the power that can be unlocked. So with that, I want to wrap up, and just a few reminders here. Biggest thing, right? There's a lot of information here. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of features. In the poll, you guys said that the biggest barriers to entry for an app for you were cost, and time. And as Kevin has said a few times, and I've said, we can go with some of these features. We can go with all of them. We can go with an app. We can not even go with an app, right? A lot of these pieces can be implemented just as standalones. And so that's what we kind of want to leave you with. We also want to remind you, and we put this when we sent this out, like we will be giving a discount to anyone that moves ahead with the Ski Now app, giving you a deal on some of the pricing. And of course, that kind of depends on what you want to implement and how big or small. But regardless, we'll make sure that we get you a deal of 20% off, and actually even more if you're willing to do a longer agreement on something like this. And of course, if you're interested in any of this, we're going to send a follow-up email. We'll make sure you get a recording of this. You could share it with others. We'll post it on our website. But please get in touch. Let us know. If you have any questions, even if it's not about moving forward, questions about anything we went over today. A lot of people like to ask Kevin questions, and he's happy to answer them. So just email us, pick his brain. Even though he's a pretty busy guy, we will be happy to chat with you. And just going back to the price thing, I want to make sure, we like to say, or a good way to look at this is, we've said it a million times, bite size is fine. If there's a price that you have in your head that's like, this is what I'm comfortable with, this is what our resort is comfortable with, spending right now, this winter, next summer, we have something that will fit that budget. We have something that we've gone over today and that we can work with you on that will fit that budget. So if that's a number in your head and it's a hard number, that's not a problem. I've also got some resources there. Our website's got all kinds of stuff, past webinars, um, study we did with Ski Area Magazine. And I know something that also comes up is with these apps is safety, especially that ski gamification and tracking. There's an interesting article. It's Snowbrains, so take it with a grain of salt, unofficial network Snowbrains, but interesting article there about the safety of ski apps and ski tracking apps. So worth checking out. I think with that, we're going to close out. I just want to say thank you guys all again for joining us. Appreciate your time. I know you're busy, and I hope you have a good start to the season as we get into that time. And hope you have a good rest of your day. And I hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.